Hello, in this lecture we will be walking through the syllabus for 2025 Summer Gen Chem 1400 or Part 1. So to begin with our lecture portion, first off, hello, my name is Eric Ruggles. I will be your instructor this semester. The easiest way to get a hold of me is through email. Or on Teams, whichever one you prefer, available on both. My office is in Innovation. It's in E333. Since this is the summer, we also will have Teams meetings if you need to. Mainly because this class is asynchronous, meaning that it's up to you how to complete the course, in terms of the lecture material, but I will be organizing the class from day to day during the work week as far as what we should be doing to be keeping up for when the exams, the mid-semester exams, come our way. So the class is asynchronous in terms of the lecture material, where I will be providing you with lecture videos, end of chapter homework problems, that you need to be working on, taking avid notes and engaging in the lecture video material, as well as then practicing these concepts in mathematics in the homework problems at the end of the chapter. So in terms of the class location, this is really over the Internet Ethereal or either the Brightspace website. So we could put that in there. And then, of course, we could meet over Teams if necessary. Office hours are pretty much open-ended. I don't really have any set office hours because we have a lot going on this summer in terms of what your schedule might look like. So if we need to meet, you just need to get a hold of me in terms of setting up an appointment. And then we will, find a time and day that works for both of us, and then we will sit down and discuss. These are going to be pretty much virtual over Teams. If necessary or if needed, we could try to find a way to meet face-to-face in person in the office, but that'll go on a case-by-case scenario. So welcome to the class. We will be, talking a lot about Gen Chem, which we see in the objectives below the welcome. I really do look forward to interacting with you and hearing about your different ideas, your questions, what your aspirations are over the class, where we discuss a lot of things in terms of stoichiometry, gas laws, quantum theory, atomic structure, etc., etc. So welcome to everybody, and we have a lot of stuff to get through in terms of our objectives. My mission is really to convey to you not only the concepts in mathematics, but also that I convey in a way that you understand those concepts in mathematics, as well as then applying them in the laboratory. So basically, my mission is to help you to understand general chemistry, and I will do whatever I need to do to help you in that regard. So if that's meeting with you after hours, if that's meeting you over Teams, meeting you in the office, right? My job is to help you find success. In terms of the textbook, we're using the Burge and Overby Chemistry Atoms First, the 5th edition. This is with Alex Online Access. So it all comes together. And so we got to get Alex. And then with Alex, we'll find that Alex is our online platform of the course, where assessments will be taken, such as our mid-semester exams and the final, as well as where you can find the e-text, which houses all of the obviously chapters that we're going to be covering, as well as importantly the homework problems, which are found at the end of each chapter. There's a couple options to buying it. One is to go through Brightspace, and that's might be the easiest option, is to go through there. And Basically, what you want to do is go to the content and activities part of our Brightspace course, access the third folder, which is our Alex folder. And then once you click that Alex link for the first time, you'll be prompted to purchase an Alex account, which can come in a couple different fashions. You can get an 18-week or a 52-week license. It really kind of depends on what you think you're going to need. For the summer, 18 weeks would suffice for both Chem 1 1400 or Chem 2 1450. If you're planning to take the second half of this course maybe later in the semester, especially if you're at UVM, then you might want a longer subscription. But you have the choice. And then once you sign up for the choice and make your payment, then you have access to the Alex part of the part of the course. Please remember that this is the way to access. Basically, always access it in this particular manner of going to Brightspace and then getting to Alex through that third folder, that third Alex folder. Option 2 is pretty much like option 1, except you're buying things at the bookstore. So that's up to you. So that brings us to the lecture, right? The lecture is basically, since it's asynchronous, they're going to be lecture videos. I'm going to give you announcements, to keep you on target, in terms of Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Wednesday would be the lab day, so I leave that to just the laboratory material. But those other 4 days of the work week, I will guide you with lecture videos that you should be watching, as well as then most important, right, which is that those attempts on the homework problems. And this is going to be a lot of material. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. And so if you wait till exams come around, it's going to be very hard to be able to get through all the homework assigned and also to get through it with good understanding. So that's why I recommend that you do the homework, on a daily basis, so that you're able to digest the material in small bites. You're much more able to really understand that material because you're not getting super tired. And that constant ritual will help to prepare you then for when the exams come along. So what I've split the course into is basically modules. Every chapter is a module. So chapter 3 would be module 3. These can all be found under content and activities under the second folder, the module homework. I believe it's now called module homework and videos folder. But it's a second folder that will take you basically into every single chapter. So I have all the modules already posted. You can play around and look through them. The modules are split into kind of 3 different pieces. There's going to be a lecture video, which is going to have a blue heading or blue underlined heading. And that's obviously going to give us, the lecture material with me discussing concepts as well as me doing example sample problems sets. Under our video heading would be homework problem sets. These are in red. And so these are what I'm assigning from the end of each chapter. These are by far the most important in terms of preparing for the exam. So I strongly encourage you to do as many of them as possible. In fact, the more you do, the better. And please realize that all the chapter questions there at the end of each chapter are really good questions. I assign a representative set, but there's plenty of ones that aren't assigned but are still very valid, very fair game types of questions. If you need extra practice, please don't hesitate to do those. And then under our homework will be homework video examples of problems with a purple heading. And these are supplementary videos that I've created, which just basically show me doing different problems with different concepts attached to them through chapter to chapter. They're kind of like mini lectures, if you will. So You have the lecture video content in blue, the homework problem sets, which we should be doing on our own, in red, homework problem help videos, which are in purple if you need help. And of course, I'm willing to help anytime. You just need to reach out to me as well. And these will all be broken down within the weekly announcements. So that's really what you want to be looking for, is a weekly announcement, so you know what to do for that work week. And I will split it up for day to day. Extra practice, the real meat and potatoes is the homework that I'm assigning, but when we get close to the exam, if you want to like test your abilities, I do have old exams from 2017, 2018, and 2019. These are real exams that were given. These will be of a different format since our class will have online exams. These exams were actually taken in an exam hall, so they are going to be slightly formatted differently. Your exams are all going to be multiple choice, while a lot of these are really, fill in the blank problem, answer solving type questions. But they are good questions, and they are real exam questions given to past semesters. So really good to find those for extra practice. Do not study the old exams solely, because that's really only one way that you'll see the question written from one year to the next. They will slightly change, which means that they will slightly change in your year as well. So again, the real meat and potatoes, or like I say, seitan and broccoli, is the homework problems that are with the red headings that I assign. Exams are going to be every basically 6th day of class. We're going to have exam. These are already can be found in your Brightspace calendar. So we can look to that for those dates. I also, of course, will post announcements regarding these as well as they come, closer to us in the semester. There are no scheduled exam dates. I apologize. Looks like that is an error there. So let's correct that. So these exams will be made available, but they'll be made available all day. So I'll slide that down here. So that would be from 12 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. I'll make that correction here shortly. It must have escaped me. But that's what our exams are going to be open basically the entire day of when there is an exam day scheduled. You have 3 hours to complete the exam. So there will be a timer to it. Exams can't be saved and returned to later. Basically, when you sit down, you have to complete it. So make sure that you're taking the exam at the best time for you during the day when you're the most awake, when you have no distractions, and when you have a very good internet connection. I will provide a data information sheet as well as the periodic table for you to utilize while you're taking the exam. That's the only piece of information you can use outside of the actual exam. You can use any calculator of your choice. So being that said, I would make sure that you understand how the ALEKS platform works, even though we'll only be looking at assessments on ALEKS, as well as access to your e-text, right? Make sure we know how to use that program. And so here, again, once the exam closes, that would be at 11:59 p.m. Any work will be submitted after that point. So if you leave anything blank, it'll be submitted and then graded. If you miss an exam, you'll receive a 0. In an event of emergency, right, we need to have transparency. So please contact me as soon as possible to figure out what we can do to help you. Here are the 4 exams, 3 mid-semester and the final, and their respective dates. We also have a lab component to this course, which falls under this N2 requirement. Just letting you know that we will be doing labs, right, which gives us the experiential portion of this course. We need to go to the labs. This is part of the course. Attendance is mandatory at those labs, so there is an attendance policy with the laboratory, so please make sure you are attending the labs. And lastly, this document is a working document. Obviously, sometimes things have to change during the semester given certain criterion. If a change happens, that's okay. I will definitely let you know if there's a modification that's going to occur, and I'll announce that as soon as possible. For instance, we just had one above here, right, where exams are open all day, right? So that's going to be one change that I'm going to make to correct that portion of the syllabus. Laboratory. For the laboratory, I'm going to leave pretty much most of this to when you go to lab. Your first lab on our first Wednesday is really a check-in and just kind of getting you oriented with the lab. But there's some things you need to get together before that particular point. So lab manuals you'll find on Brightspace. These will come out within the Brightspace course. I don't believe they're posted just yet, but they will post it in a very short time frame. Our lab director, Christine Cardillo, handles the laboratory side of this course, so she should be posting that information soon. But you should get together basically your lab notebook, which you can buy at the UVM bookstore. It's carbonless copy. Safety eyewear such as goggles or glasses, and then lab attire, right, in terms of you have to wear the proper shoes, right, the proper pants, the proper type of shirt. We don't want any exposed skin to help with the possibility of getting chemicals on us, right? If we get something on clothing, we can take the clothing off. We get chemicals on our skin, well, the chemicals might take the skin off, so we don't want that. Also within this, there is a lab coat as well that you need to get at the bookstore. So make sure we purchase that. So we have those 3 things. We have the lab notebook, we have safety eyewear, and we have the lab coat that we need to purchase. Attendance in lab is mandatory. We do understand things happen, so we do have a policy in place that if you miss more than 2 labs, you will receive an automatic F for the course. That's not an F for the laboratory portion of the course. That's an F for the entire course. There are excused and unexcused absences. If you have an unexcused absence, you'll get a 0 for the actual experiment. If you have documentation and get an excused absence, then you won't be penalized for that particular lab experiment. Your lab points would just be out of a slightly smaller amount. But we have discussed this, and we feel that you need to do at least 8 of the 10 labs that are provided, not counting the check-in. So that's why you cannot miss more than 2 labs. If you're having problems and you need an excused absence from an experiment or need to talk about things, please contact Christine Cardillo at her email and do so at your earliest convenience. You can follow this link to look at lab videos, which will help give you a preemptive strike on what you'll be doing that particular day in lab. And then you'll get more used to the lab format, but just as a precursor to that, we have a lab in the morning from 9 to 11:45, as well as in the afternoon from 1 to 3:45. So you're going to be doing 2 labs a day. There's going to be a pre-lab quiz, a post-lab calculations, a lab report, as well as the experiment cleanup, etc. So your lab time will be a busy time of hands-on experience. Listen to whoever your TA is, your teaching assistant. They will be conducting the labs alongside of you in terms of helping you through that process, also helping you with the lab materials, whether that be the report, the calculations, etc. Look to them for that on that first day of lab in terms of check-in for a much more detailed orientation of what you'll be doing there. Course grades. So in terms of grades, grades are, my grade borders tend to flux depending on the actual class. But if you really are looking for absolutes, even though these borders could change a little bit, they will never go higher. So if you get a 92% or better, you're guaranteed an A of some sort. 83% or better, you're in the B range, and then a 72% or better, the C range. So those are the three ranges that we would like us to be in. And if you're below that, well, then we're in the D and the F area, and we should be reaching out for help for sure if we find ourselves in that predicament. The class is split into two pieces. One is the lecture and one is the lab. The course is 4 credits, so 3/4 of the points come from the lecture, or 750 points, and then 250 points, or 25%, will come from the lab. So in terms of our scoring points, we have 2 different ways to get points. One is the mid-semester exam, and the other is the final exam. So we're going to have 3 mid-semester exams at 175 points a pop, and then a final worth 225 points. All these then count to your score. Now, one policy that I do have is at the end of the semester, I will look at your grades and I will replace the lowest mid-semester percentage by the percentage on the final, if the final is the highest. So if one of the mid-semester exam grades is your lowest grade, then the final will count 2 units. If your final is the lowest grade, it will only count as 1 unit. So it just depends on what the scenario is. So if we look at, like, for instance, an example here, the student did roughly 85s to 75s, but we have this low score here of the 45%. So notice in terms of what is counted, this 75% has come in and replaced. So it replaces, I'm going to change that pen there. So it replaces the lowest mid-semester score, provided the final is higher. So that's what we see there. And so example 2 highlights that, where in terms of the actual, this was a student that really was right in the 70s. The final is the lowest, so it doesn't replace anything. So that just helps us, I think, in the semester. We always tend to have one lower exam. And so this can help us to get back on our feet at the end of the semester. So if your final exam is higher than your lowest mid-semester exam score, your final exam can count twice. We then have the lab, which is where 25% of your grade, or 250 points. You will get all this information within the check-in. You're going to find there is a lab safety quiz that you're going to have to do. I believe they're going to do that during the check-in day. And then you're going to get 250 points really distributed between pre-labs, technique, post-lab questions, and calculations. And then we just add up the points to get our raw to get our raw score. So we get a 78.2 for example 1 and a 74.5 for example 2. And so we just add up all the points and divide by 1,000, and that would be our fraction percent. Academic integrity, basically don't cheat. I know this is an online course, but I'm asking you to only use useful information that I provide for exams and not to use any outside resources save what I'm providing in the useful information sheets. In terms of the lecture schedule, here it is from day to day. I will also detail this in announcements from week to week to help you to organize it, to organize your work week. But it will be being, this is definitely a summary of what you're going to be seeing in those announcements. But I think the announcements obviously are going to be much more detailed with links to the lecture videos, links to extra homework help problems, right, etc. But this is what we're going to be doing, as well as what our exams will be covering, and holidays. After that is the laboratory schedule. The laboratory schedule is again showing us what we're doing in the morning and the afternoon of each day that lab is conducted. Remember, again, that's going to be on Wednesdays throughout the semester. So I give the experiment as well as then the lecture correlation. And again, all these experiments can be found on Brightspace under the lab folder within the course materials. Lastly, with access accommodations, you just need to discuss that with me if you have such. Religious holidays, if there's some type of conflict with an exam, please let me know. We'll figure something out. Religious holidays are pretty much set in the calendar, so if you are one that practices, you should know those dates and let me know. Sickness accommodations, you just need to keep me in the loop as to what's going on with your health. Lastly, if we're on campus or if we're in the Burlington area, here are some places to help us with our health and our safety. We have health and well-being, counseling and psychiatry services, care services if you're worried about somebody else, alcohol and cannabis statements. These don't help you with school and academics, so I would not partake in these while you're taking the class. And we're open to all areas of diversity, race, color, religion, sexuality within this course, within your instructor. So open doors, everybody is welcome. In terms of if you're on campus, there are areas or centers that can provide us with connections. So this is more about networking within the UVM community, such as the Interface Center, the Mosaic Center for Students of Color, the Prism Center, as well as the Women and Gender Equity Center. All fantastic areas to celebrate our diverse community here at UVM. Lastly, grade appeals, which usually I've never really experienced this. If we have issues with grades, obviously just talk to me. We can talk about things and make sure that we're both satiated with what's going on if there's some type of issue. And then lastly, FERPA rights. I will not talk to your parents no matter how they try. My conversation would only be with you. So that is the syllabus document. Please, if you do have questions, please consult the syllabus document. Usually it does have the answers. But of course, I'm willing to answer any question you have. Please email me those questions or send me a Teams chat with those questions. And then we can discuss those further. Thank you and have a wonderful day.